Hello, I'm Edward Roski, and welcome to the AI News. We're here for those intelligent people who only have time to deep dive into AI for a few minutes every so often, but always want to look smarter than they are about AI. February 2026 was the most consequential month in AI since GPT-4 first showed up in March of 2023. Wow, that seems like a long time ago. 29 models launched in 27 days. Over $1 trillion in stock market value evaporated due to product releases and a few Substack articles. The Pentagon got into a public fistfight with an AI company, and we haven't even gotten to the part where ByteDance made Disney call its lawyers. This is the month AI stopped being a conversation about chatbots and started being a conversation about power: who controls it, who profits from it, who gets replaced by it, and whether the stock market will survive the next Anthropic press release. So let's get into it. U.S. Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth gave Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei a deadline to sign a document granting unrestricted military access to Claude. Anthropic said no. There are two guardrails that Anthropic won't remove: no fully autonomous weapons that fire without a human in the loop, and no mass surveillance of American citizens. The Pentagon wants both gone. This escalated really quickly. Claude was used last month during the January 3rd capture of Venezuelan President Maduro via Palantir. An Anthropic exec called Palantir afterward to ask if Claude had been involved. Palantir reported that call to the Pentagon. Apparently, asking questions about your own product is now a national security incident. Emil Michael, the undersecretary, posed a hypothetical about a nuclear ICBM with 90 seconds to respond. Anthropic called the scenario patently false and said they already allow missile defense. If Anthropic doesn't comply, it starts with a $200 million contract gone, possible supply chain risk designation, normally reserved for horrible companies like Huawei and Kaspersky, or the Defense Production Act forcing compliance. Amadei's response: we cannot in good conscience accede to their request. Michael called Amadei a liar with a god complex, which, let's be honest, is actually an overall generalization of a bunch of AI CEOs. This is the precedent setting fight for who controls AI safety guardrails. Is it government or is it private companies? If you're feeling a lot poorer this month, you have Anthropic to thank. One company, three product launches, and over $1 trillion in market value destroyed. Wave one on February 3rd. Claude's Cowork added plugins for legal, finance, and marketing. Wall Street called it the SaaS apocalypse. 285 billion gone in 48 hours. Thomson Reuters fell 16%. LegalZoom dropped 20%. Gartner lost 21% as people questioned the need for professional consulting services. Wave 2, February 20th, Claude Code Security said it could scan code bases. It found 500 vulnerabilities in open source projects. Some had been undiscovered for decades. CrowdStrike fell 12%. JFrog plunged 25%. The cybersecurity ETF hit its lowest point since November of 2023. And it wasn't over yet. Wave 3, February 23rd. Anthropic said Claude could automate COBOL modernization. There's a term that we haven't heard since Y2K. IBM tanked 13%, their worst day since October 2000. The Dow dropped 820 points. IBM, at least as of the moment, is down 27% for the month. That is its worst month since 1968, which, for context, was the year 2001: A Space Odyssey came out. HAL 9000 would appreciate the irony. Then Dario Amodei went on TV with Salesforce's Mark Benioff and said, Claude, no, it's actually about augmentation, not replacement. And the market stabilized, at least for now. February had more frontier model releases than all of 2023. Let's go through the highlight reel. Anthropic, Opus 4.6 on February 5th. 16 copies of Opus wrote a C compiler in Rust that compiles the entire Linux kernel, cost of only about 20 grand. They wanted to one-up themselves. They released Sonic 4.6 on February 17th, nearly matching Opus for a fraction of the price. It is now the default for free users of Claude. On a side note, Sonic 4.6 actually beats Opus 4.6 in some areas. For instance, as of the time of this recording, the #1 model in the world for financial analysts is Sonnet 4.6. OpenAI, GPT-5.3 Codex dropped the same day as Opus 4.6, not a coincidence. They retired GPT-4o because they said only 0.1% of users were still picking it. They also announced that ChatGPT now has over 900 million weekly active users. Google, Gemini 3.1 Pro launched on February 19th. It leads 13 of 16 benchmarks. It scored 77.1% on ARC AGI 2, so we are getting that much closer to AGI. It is more than double the previous version, and it is the same price. Google's gift to the AI community, a massive upgrade at zero additional cost. Marketing strategy, make everyone else look expensive. XAI, Grok launched, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, 420 with a 4-agent parallel architecture, really novel approach, worth keeping an eye on. And we have the Chinese labs. Qwen 3.5 launched with 397 billion parameters, 201 languages, and its open weight sources. GLM5 trained entirely on Huawei chips and zero NVIDIA. We also have Dubao 2.0. Also, there's Kimi K2.5 that has an agent swarm of 100 sub-agents. And we have Kling 3.0, which is a video generation model that has native 4K video at 60 frames per second. The era of one best model is pretty much over. Now the best model depends on what your job board is. February is when AI stopped being a chatbot and became a coworker. OpenAI launched ChatGPT Agent, merging operator and deep research into one system. It browses the web, it runs code, it creates documents. The standalone operator is being deprecated. They also launched Frontier, an enterprise platform where you manage AI agents like employees. They've said they already have customers, including HP, Oracle, Uber, and Cisco. And lest we forget, OpenAI bought OpenClaw, formerly Claudebot, also formerly Moltbot. It's a series of agents that you can call via Telegram, WhatsApp, and so on. And OpenAI bought it for an undisclosed amount of money, rumored to be north of $1 billion. And as you recall, OpenClaw was basically one guy, a single full-time employee. If you've tried to buy a Mac Mini lately, you can't find one, and it's all because of OpenClaw. But OpenAI isn't the only one doing a lot of agents this month. Anthropic expanded Claude Cowork with plugins for HR, engineering, finance, and operations. We already mentioned why some stock market things are down. Unlike Claude Code, though, Claude Cowork does all its agent work in a desktop. It runs on both Mac and now it runs on Windows. It's agents for the masses. What about Perplexity? They launched Computer, orchestrating 19 different AI models. Claude is the brain, Gemini for research, Grok for speed, $200 a month. It's the first time Please Use All the AIs became an actual thing you could ask a product for. Google shipped Gemini task automation on Android. You can order an Uber through your AI. It's the first mainstream agentic AI that truly works on a phone. Infrastructure behind it all? Well, Anthropic donated MCP to the Linux Foundation at the end of last year. OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, AWS, others all adopted it. MCP is now getting 97 million monthly downloads. Think of MCP as the USB of AI. That's a lot of letters in one sentence. It just makes it so everything plugs into everything. Expect to see a whole lot more about MCP over 2026. Will AI kill the video star? Well, ByteDance launched CDance 2.0 on February 8th, generates 15 to 20-second video clips with multiple shots, native audio, including dialogue with lip sync and physics-aware motion at half the cost of Google Veo 3. It went, this is a term, mega viral. The problem, because users immediately generated clips featuring Spider-Man, Darth Vader, Baby Yoda, Grogu, South Park characters, and there are also a bunch of videos of a bunch of real actors doing non-real AI stuff. Disney called it, and I quote, a virtual smash and grab of their IP. Cease and desist letters arrived from Disney, Paramount, the Motion Picture Association of America, MPA, and others. SAG-AFTRA condemned ByteDance. The MPA argued the violations are baked into the technology itself. ByteDance promised to strengthen safeguards. I think they don't want to ruin their TikTok revenue, but they did not remove the model. This is the we'll look into it of international copyright disputes. The delicious irony of all this, as you might remember, Disney recently invested in OpenAI and licensed its characters for use in Sora, their video model. So to recap, Disney is suing one AI company for generating Darth Vader while paying another AI company to generate Darth Vader. Also in AI video, as we mentioned, Kling 3.0 has native 4K video at 60 frames per second. Grok Imagine says they generated 1,245,000,000 videos in their first month. Folks, don't trust any video you see anymore, especially if it's a short clip. These days, I only believe something if I can see multiple shots of the same thing happening from multiple viewpoints, and eventually I probably won't even believe that. Matt Schumer, CEO of Other Side AI, published a 5,000-word essay titled Something Big is Happening. He argued we're in the this seems overblown phase of something bigger and reminiscent of COVID. He cited meter data. AI can now complete tasks that take human experts 5 hours, a year ago was 10 minutes. That capacity is doubling somewhere between every 7 months and every 1.5 months, depending on who you look at. He pointed that GPT-5.3 Codex is the first model instrumental in creating itself. His essay had 83 million views on X, 100,000 likes. So, of course, the backlash kicked in. Fortune called it irresponsible. Stratechery said the economics don't hold up. Forbes called it a sales pitch. The OECD argued displacement takes decades, not months. Oh, too late though. The viral panic contributed to bank stocks breaking down, volatility spiking, gold surging to over $5,000 an ounce. But here's what's kind of interesting. An HBR study published the same week found the opposite of the popular narrative. AI power users are not working less. They're doing more work faster and across more hours of every day. They found that AI expands work, it doesn't shrink it, which is somehow both reassuring and terrifying. NVIDIA unveiled their new Vera Rubin chip, which is basically 6 chips in one platform. Vera CPU, 2 Rubin GPUs, 4 networking chips. A single server will combine 72 GPUs and 36 CPUs. What difference does that make? You're going to get 50 petaflops of inference. That is 5 times the NVIDIA Blackwell chips. You're going to get 22 terabytes per second of memory bandwidth, 10 times performance per watt. What that means, we don't need as many electrons as we previously did. This is not something happening in many years. This will be shipping in the second half of 2026. While we're on the NVIDIA subject, they beat earnings expectations on February 25th. Revenue strong, guidance actually pretty darn good. Stock dropped 5.5%, their biggest one-day decline in 10 months. Because when you're priced for perfection, beating expectations is not enough. Wall Street basically said, yeah, but what have you done for me in the next quarter? NVIDIA announced $500 billion in planned US AI infrastructure through 2029. But there are cracks in NVIDIA's monopoly. Amazon revealed Trainium 3, which is 40% more cost effective than their Trainium 2. Zippo AI trained GLM5 entirely on Huawei Ascend chips. Zero NVIDIA dependency, so it can be done. The question is whether it can be done at scale. Because we know NVIDIA can scale, on February 17th, Meta signed a multi-year deal with NVIDIA for millions of Blackwell and then Rubin GPUs, plus the first standalone deployment of NVIDIA's Grace CPU. A week later, Meta then signed a multi-year deal with AMD for up to 6 gigawatts of AMD Instinct GPUs. AMD issued Meta a warrant for 160 million shares, roughly 10% of the value of AMD. That's how badly AMD wanted the deal. Please buy our chips, and if you do so, we will give you a tenth of our company. Meta has committed $600 billion to US AI infrastructure by 2028. For context, they also cut 1,500 Reality Labs jobs the same month. The metaverse VR dream is being quietly reabsorbed into the AI bet. Also notable, Samsung launched the Galaxy S26 that has Gemini Perplexity and on-device AI baked in. Your phone is no longer the place where you just doom scroll and take photos. Now it's an AI terminal that also happens to make calls. If you recall back to early 2023, Microsoft built its entire AI strategy around OpenAI, but now Claude is available in Microsoft Foundry and Copilot Studio right alongside a GPT. When your biggest investor starts selling your competitor's product, the relationship has definitely, what's a polite way to put it, changed. Microsoft also launched Foundry Local on February 24th for running AI in disconnected environments. Think government, defense, regulated industries. They partner with NVIDIA for sovereign infrastructure. Copilot has been upgraded to GPT-5.1 with automatic model selection, picks the right model for your task without even asking. But here's the bigger pattern. Apple signed a deal with Google to put Gemini inside Siri. Microsoft is offering Claude alongside GPT. The exclusive AI partner model is dead. Every platform wants multiple models. And while we're talking about branching out your capabilities and figuring out other ways to add revenue, ChatGPT started showing ads. Free and Go tier users now see them. Paid plans are ad free, 900 million plus weekly users, but only 5% of them pay. That's why the ads are there. Because if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. On February 2nd, SpaceX acquired XAI. Musk consolidated his AI operations under his space company. On February 17th, Grok 420 beta launched with a 4-agent parallel architecture. It's a generally novel approach. 4 agents collaborate on every query. On February 23rd, Grok was approved for classified military systems. XAI agreed to the all lawful use standard that the Department of War wanted that Anthropic rejected. Previously, Claude was the only model with classified access. On February 25th, a federal judge dismissed XAI's trade secrets lawsuits against OpenAI. Judge Lin said XAI failed to allege any actual misconduct. They can refile, so I guess that's going well for them. The chess match is between Anthropic, that's refusing to remove its military guardrails, and the Pentagon, that warns them they'll pay a price. And then Grok coming in 5 days later and saying, I'd like to play this chess match. They got the classified access that Claude had. So whether you see it as competitive justice or government retaliation depends on your politics, but the message to every AI company is clear. Play ball. So in pre-breaking news, Apple is announcing something on March 4th. Apple branded it a special Apple experience, no traditional live stream, but 3 days of announcements and press events in New York, London, and Shanghai. The hardware star is expected to be the budget MacBook. It's the first MacBook without Air Pro in the name in years. It's still going to have an A18 Pro chip, 12.9-inch display, but priced only $599 to $799. And it'll come in impressive iMac type colors, yellow, green, blue, pink. We can also expect an iPhone 17e, MacBook Air with M5, MacBook Pro with an M5 Pro and Max, and maybe iPads that bring Apple Intelligence to the cheapest models. But what is Apple really doing? Well, they signed a $1 billion deal with Google for a custom 1.2 trillion parameter Gemini model, white labeled inside of Siri, so you will have no Google branding visible. However, the first iOS 26.4 betas this week do not include that new Siri, so this overhaul may slip yet again. Tim Cook says Apple has a huge advantage with 2.5 billion devices, and they are building visual AI models for AirPods that will have cameras, smart glasses, and I'm dying to see this when it gets released, a wearable pendant. Maybe we'll even see a demo on March 4th. Is Apple about to make AI accessible to 1 billion people who don't use ChatGPT? We'll find out, maybe, on March 4th. And here's to hoping Apple closes with a just one more thing that blows our socks off. As always, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's where that QR code takes you, and X/Twitter. My podcast, Asking Good Questions, is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or you can visit my personal website at roski.ai, or just shoot me an email and ask me anything on your mind. I'm Edward Roski with the AI News, and until next time, keep asking good questions.